Hythorne." "Spell it." "Haythorne. Hythorne." "Oh," I said, "Irish Cockney." "Yes, sir. London born." She had lived happily at home till her father died, killed in an accident, when she had found herself on the world. One brother was in the army, and the other brother, engaged in keeping a wife and 8 children on 20 shillings a week and unsteady employment, could do nothing for her. She had been out of London once in her life, to a place in Essex, 12 miles away, where she had picked fruit for 3 weeks. "And I was as brown as a berry when I come back. You won't believe it, but I was." The last place in which she had worked was a coffee house, hours from 7 in the morning till 11 at night, and for which she had received 5 shillings a week and her food. Then she had fallen sick, and since emerging from the hospital had been unable to find anything to do. She wasn't feeling up to much, and the last 2 nights had been spent in the street. Between them they stowed away a prodigious amount of food, this man and woman, and it was not till I had duplicated and triplicated their original orders that they showed signs of easing down. Once she reached across and felt the texture of my coat and shirt, and remarked upon the good clothes the Yanks wore. My rags, good clothes. It put me to the blush, but on inspecting them more closely, and on examining the clothes worn by the man and woman, I began to feel quite well dressed and respectable. "What do you expect to do in the end?" I asked them. "You know you're growing older every day." "Workhouse," said he. "Gord blimey if I do," said she. "There's no hope for me, I know, but I'll die on the streets. No workhouse for me, thank you. No, indeed." She sniffed in the silence that fell. "After you have been out all night in the street," I asked, "what do you do in the morning for something to eat?" "Try to get a penny if you haven't got one saved over," the man explained. "Then go to a coffee house and get a mug of tea." "But I don't see how that is to feed you," I objected. The pair smiled knowingly. "You drink your tea in little sips," he went on, "making it last its longest, and you look sharp, and there's some as leaves a bit behind 'em." "It's surprisin' the food what some people leaves," the woman broke in. "The thing," said the man judicially, as the trick dawned upon me, "is to get hold of the penny." As we started to leave, Miss Haythorne gathered up a couple of crusts from the neighbouring tables and thrust them somewhere into her rags. "Can't waste 'em, you know," said she, to which the docker nodded, tucking away a couple of crusts himself. At 3 in the morning I strolled up the Embankment. It was a gala night for the homeless, for the police were elsewhere, and each bench was jammed with sleeping occupants. There were as many women as men, and the great majority of them, male and female, were old. Occasionally a boy was to be seen. On one bench I noticed a family, a man sitting upright with a sleeping babe in his arms, his wife asleep, her head on his shoulder, and in her lap the head of a sleeping youngster. The man's eyes were wide open. He was staring out over the water and thinking, which is not a good thing for a shelterless man with a family to do. It would not be a pleasant thing to speculate upon his thoughts. But this I know, and all London knows, that the cases of out-of-works killing their wives and babies is not an uncommon happening. One cannot walk along the Thames Embankment in the small hours of morning, from the Houses of Parliament past Cleopatra's Needle to Waterloo Bridge, without being reminded of the sufferings 27 centuries old, recited by the author of Job. "There are that remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed them. They drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert, they go forth to their work, seeking diligently for meat. The wilderness yieldeth them food for their children. They cut their provender in the field, and they glean the vintage of the wicked. They lie all night, naked without clothing, and have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. There are that pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. So that they go about naked without clothing, and being an hungered, they carry the sheaves." Job 24, verses 2 to 10. 27 centuries agone, and it is all as true and apposite today in the innermost centre of this Christian civilisation whereof Edward the Seventh is king. Chapter 13